Okay, so what we've been attempting to do is to have some fun, play with some writing, see how revision propels further knowledge exploration, inquiry, asking deep questions, finding answers, doing all the things that we want our learners to do. And by demonstrating using this quick write that I did, I'm also trying to model for you how a writing teacher writes. In other words, not the style I'm writing in, but the fact that I'm writing in front of people. This often never happens, and at the beginning of this I mentioned how writing seemed like a black box. It was hard to understand what went on. Part of that's because very seldom do students get to watch their teachers actually composing in front of them, seeing all the mistakes happen in the instant that you're writing, seeing the correction processes, the editing processes, trying to get an understanding for themselves that writing is in fact a complex task. What we see here, of course, is that I'm writing in the way that I'm familiar with, and I'm producing a lot of complex sentences, quite long sentences. And that when beginner writers are just starting, of course, they're more likely to produce simple sentences. Developing an understanding of how to use BRIC terminologies and connect them together is very important. Those same BRIC words, or in another word, keywords, not only are the content of the vocabulary of the content of the subject we're teaching that we need students to be familiar with and to know how to have an understanding, an accurate understanding of them. But they're also the same kind of words that fuel their reading practices. So we've seen going and looking online. You might be doing the same thing where you have books and looking in the index of a book for a topic you need to find out some specific information about in order to support an answer. Anyway, all that kind of thing is really helpful for students to be able to witness firsthand. And if they get the chance to witness it firsthand, they always have a better understanding how to go about inquiry and learning on their own. As we'll see, content and form are interchangeable. They both really affect the way the reader engages with a piece of writing, and we need to be fluid with them. And that you can teach some form just in and of itself. You can see that if I replace the key words that I would use for my searches and what have you with the pluralization of, let's say, society has resulted in many new styles for the, let's say, for the fashionistas, funny word, playful word, fashionistas, okay, sure. That's those who have enough money to buy okay. Because we are always in need of say new exotic international and vain, wrong one, vain fashions that are that burn holes in the pockets of the well-to-do. Designers, well-to-do, the production of new clothing accounts for a sizable accounts for a gigantic, see, there we go, a gigantic for new designers, and as a result there is a great amount of publicity to be had in creating outlandish dress. Okay, that's just a quick example of how, in some ways, we can take a piece of writing, one in this case that already has a specific kind of style and tone that's being built into it, and alter content and still have the form, that is the genre and style, become apparent and work in the same way. We have to change the content words, but you can see how in terms of the form and syntax, much of the statements will still hold together depending on how we are employing the different styles to meet our specific purpose in writing. For the next exercise, what we are going to do is choose a favorite environment. The environment can be a small environment or a large environment, just somewhere that you like to go and when you can. It should be one you're quite familiar with. So it can be your bed, or it can be the school, or it can be a yard, it can be a friend's house, it can be outside. Wherever you happen to choose as an environment, I'd like you now to write a 3-paragraph, roughly, piece of writing, 3 paragraphs, and explain why it's relevant and significant to you, why that environment, what its relationship to you on a personal level is, on your life. In that sense, you'll be writing more of a narrative, but it can be expository insofar as it can help to explain something about what's important about that environment to you. Maybe it's the environment where you teach, and the things that you have in that environment that make it meaningful. Perhaps they help you to do your work. You can explain knowing all that you do, but accounting for it from the level of a kind of personal narrative, one that speaks not to the academic tonalities or styles of the writing, but something personal. If you can as well, find a way to have a picture of it or draw a picture of it. or any other kind of thing. If you have access to a camera, maybe you can also take a picture or even a video of the space that you can accompany your writing with. In this sense, we're creating a kind of memento to that space. So I'd like you to think about an environment that's important to you and write about that environment. Talk about what are the symbolic or the significant aspects of the environment that make it important to you. Those significant aspects would clearly be the kinds of key terms, the same thing that we would do when dealing with more academic textbook forms, when we're identifying key words to help students to acquire the important vocabulary and to become proficient at expressing ideas within our disciplinary discourse. Now what we're going to do is stop the disciplinary part of it and turn it into a more personal reflection and a generative piece of writing about that. So think of an environment. If you can, go there, and then following some time there, or with a pen and paper there, pencil and paper, whatever you have, try and write something that is about that environment and what is the personal connection you have to it. That'll be our next project.